Hi, this is Faith and Literacy, and this is part 3 of a series of videos that I'm doing helping classroom teachers and homeschooling parents to prepare for the new school year. In part 1, I went over planning and organization. Part 2, preparing your learning environment. So now in my chapter 3, all about gathering essential supplies. So stay tuned while I give you some quick lists on what supplies you're going to need for the new school year. Teachers, we know that a well-stocked classroom is essential for smooth daily operations, right? So here's a quick checklist to ensure that you have everything that you need for that new school year. 1, writing utensils, right? Basic. We want to make sure that we have the pencils, the pens, the markers, the highlighters, right? Anything that they're going to need, including erasers and pencil sharpeners. 2, notebooks and paper. What type of notebook are you going to have in the classroom? Or is it going to be the one with the metal spiral bound, so when they tear it out, the little bits and pieces get all over the floor? Or is it going to be a marble notebook? You have to think about that. You want to make sure that you have lined paper, graph paper, plain paper, construction paper, and thinking about the academic and the grade level of your students. So your notebooks might include a picture part, right? So it's blank on the top with the sentence lines at the bottom. 3, art supplies. You know that your kids are going to do some wonderful projects during the school year. So make sure that you have the tools for them to get it done. So crayons, colored pencils, paints, markers, scissors, glue, what type of glue you're going to be using, but also what are some of those basic art supplies that you like to keep around in the classroom. Maybe some pipe cleaners, some pom-poms, some stickers, right? Different things that they can incorporate into their projects. 4, what about teaching aids? Think about what you're using in order to help you get your message across. Do you have a whiteboard? If you do, then do you have the markers and erasers to go along with it? Or maybe you have a smart board. Well, do you know how to use that board efficiently and effectively? Not just turning it on and writing on it, but make sure that you see your tech department or look at some videos online. How can you really get to know that smartboard so that you're making it more engaging and interactive for your students? You can incorporate videos and games and all different sorts of things. Make sure that you understand how to use this technology just beyond turning it on and writing on it. And don't forget your bulletin boards. Think about the theme of your classroom. How are you going to initially decorate your bulletin board outside the classroom? How is your bulletin board going to pop and welcome your students for the new school year? And then think about, if you have a bulletin board inside your classroom, what is that bulletin board going to be used for? And remember, if you're creating a word wall, for example, that word wall is dynamic, right? It's not going to stay the same for the whole school year. So think about how you're going to be changing that bulletin board inside your classroom as well. And make sure you have the supplies to go along with it. Next, organizational tools. What folders, binders, and file organizers do you have? Not just for you and your desk, keeping files on lessons and unit plans or even student files, but what about the students? Are they going to have a portfolio or other files in the classroom for their work? How is that going to be organized? Where is it going to be in the classroom? Things that you need to think about. Next, the technology, not just for you, but also for the students. Are they having computers, laptops, iPads, or tablets? What printers do you have available? Is it in your classroom? Do you have to go outside of the classroom? How far is it in relation? So you have to think about that when you are planning out your lessons and printing things out. And lastly, the all-important cleaning supplies. Make sure that you have enough tissues available for yourself and the students, as well as hand sanitizer. But you also want to make sure, if your school allows it, that you have the disinfectant wipes, that you can wipe down your desk, wipe down the markers or the pens used on the whiteboard and the smartboard at the end of the day. You also want to think about the supplies that you need. Who is going to be supplying these? Is it something that the school supplies you? Is it enough? Do you have to supplement it? Or is it something that you need to supply all on your own? So maybe you can find out from your school if you're able to offer a wish list to parents at the beginning of the school year, or to look at different sites that you might be able to go on to create wish lists in order to get the funds or to get the supplies that you need for your classroom. Okay, parents. Homeschooling requires a unique set of materials to create an effective learning environment. So here's a checklist and some supplies that you might need in your home environment. Now, of course, we need those basic school supplies, right? The pens, the pencils, the notebooks, the paper. Again, you also want to think about what type of paper, what's the grade level or age of your children, right? That would depend on what type of paper you might be using for them. You also want to think about what curriculum materials do you have? Are you creating your own curriculum, or are you using a pre-made curriculum? If so, go through that curriculum beforehand. Check out the textbooks, the workbooks, and other resources that come in your curriculum packet, and make sure you know how to use it. Familiarize yourself with it. Also, make sure that you have online resources that you can use. Make a list of those online resources. Save it in your computer. Bookmark it so it's easily accessible. And of course, your children are going to be making those arts and crafts as well. So you're going to make sure that you have the supplies that you need. The basic crayons, colored pencils, markers, paint, glue, and scissors. And also keep some basic supplies around, like the pom-poms, the pipe cleaners, stickers, felt, and other things that you can use with them. Next, science. Right? Science is important. You want to make sure that you have some science kits. You can buy these kits, or you can also put these kits together with basic science supplies. Measuring tools, maybe home supplies like the baking soda and other homemade things or other things that you might be able to find in your home. But also maybe those bigger ticket science supplies like a microscope. And what other manipulatives, especially for math, do you have available? Cubes and shapes and other things that they might be using. Next, you want to make sure that you're also incorporating some educational games and puzzles in your lessons. So what kind of games, physical games, as well as thinking about some educational apps that your children can use to help enhance their learning? Which leads me to technology, right? What educational apps are you going to be using for your child? And you want to make sure that you're vetting them before you let your child use it. And also, computers. Do you have a computer, a printer, enough ink, paper, right? You want to make sure that you have all of those supplies. In the last video, I talked about setting up your homeschooling environment and making sure you have a specific area for them. So do you have comfortable furniture in that area? What desk, chairs are available? Storage solutions? Are they on the floor, right? So you want to make sure that you have a comfortable environment for your children. So I hope this was helpful. Stay tuned for Chapter 4 when I talk about engaging students in some icebreaker activities. I'll check you later.